Hey everybody, it's Adam from IHP. Welcome to our weekly in-house staff meeting. And as always, every other week we do the JC Unplugged. We're up to episode 4 for 2016. So like always, let's just get right into the questions. All right, Carlos, what is your favorite lower body power exercise?
Weighted box jump. If I have to choose one, weighted box jump. Why? Because research has shown that a weighted box jump with a vest can come within 100 watts of the high pull in a clean.
Right.
And it is very easy to teach. It's very easy to load up. It's very safe. So for that reason, it's my favorite.
And how do you determine the weight that the individual wears?
Thought you were going to ask me that. Technically, it's with, I would say, between 30 and 50% of your maximum RM with the squat, and therein lies the problem. So you don't know what the perfect load is. So I would say somewhere between body weight, maybe body weight and a half with the vest, by what I've seen, but that's a very, very rough estimate.
All right. How would you address clients who aren't responding or opening up from postural exercises? Like, all the pulling we do, all the retraction, people just not opening up. What adjustments can you make for that population?
When you say opening up, means their posture hasn't changed?
Yeah, maybe they're a little bit kyphotic and they're just not opening up. They're not responding to...
Okay, not responding in what sense? If you tell them straighten up, can they straighten up? Or if you go straighten up and they go, I am straight, this is about as straight as I can get.
The last one.
This one here?
Yeah.
Then most chances I would ask for an MRI, because you're going to have some ossification that doesn't allow them to extend. So people can't extend for only one reason, basically two. One, there's ossification and there's structural barriers where you have bone on bone, ligament on bone, tendon on bone, whatever it is, and you have just obstruction. You can't straighten.
It's just like the muscles are not firing.
No, I've never seen it. Never seen it unless it is a paralyzed person. I've never seen anyone who's like this, who says, okay, this is about as straight as I can get, and then you lay them down and put them like that with no pain. I've never seen it. Because how weak must you be for your thoracic and high thoracic and low cervical muscles to not be strong enough to even extend your back while standing, which basically is almost no load whatsoever. How decrepit must a person be for that to happen? I've never seen it. I've never seen it. I've seen old people say, I am straight, and then you do an MRI and they're just bone on bone. That's it. You can't do anything. But if most people, everybody else, they'll stand like this. And then when you turn around, they go back. That's postural. That's habit. That's not exercise. That's been proven. Rhys has already done a literature review on postural exercise, and the research review shows that exercise does not by itself undo posture. Posture is undone by an awareness and a willingness. So people say, well, when you start working out, it's not the workout. It's not the workout, it's the environment. People come in, everybody's up tall, everybody's proud, so you come in, you become your company. So they come in, everybody's just here, and everybody's here. That's what changes posture, it's not the exercise. That's a lie. All the research has shown that. And Ries said 1 hour of exercise will never undo 23 hours of bad habit. So all the exercises they have tried exercise to change posture in and of itself, I've shown that exercise in and of itself does not change posture. So, just stand up straight. You don't want them to stand up straight, they're never going to stand straight. They go, well, strength, it's nonsense. If strength and flexibility guaranteed posture, then gymnasts would have the best posture in the world. And they're terrible. They're horrendous with posture. Unless they're on the floor, then they're like, boom, they're like straight like this, and then they get their grade, and they're scoring, and boom. How about the flexibility of swimmers and their shoulder girdle? Incredible, look at them. They're like all albatrosses, they're all like this.
Do you think that you could train more on the mental issue side of that, I guess? because we always talk about how energy, in my opinion, I believe that energy and posture kind of correlate with one another.
Absolutely.
You know, so if you see, you know, even when somebody's sitting down, I mean, you already notice the rounded, the humped shoulders. So you can just remind them constantly between each exercise, walking, big chest, retract the shoulders, and kind of drill into them that, you know, the mental side, because a lot of people, you know, have bad energy. It's just this. I mean, you can look at people and it's this, and they don't even notice it. So I think that's something that you can point out, you know, while they're walking, while they're doing exercises, when you're talking to them, you know, little touches here and there, you know.
But what you're trying to do is back to the energy, to the awareness.
Right.
It's got to be done from internal. It's not a muscular thing. It's not an exercise thing. We talked about it in the other Unplugged. Why is it cueing? The posture important. The posture is important because the internal state of the person, it manifests itself physically. So you'll see people that walk like this are pretty much defeated or closed off. They may be very powerful, but they're closed off to different sources of energy, right? So when you make those postural changes, say, hey, it's not only for the exercise biomechanics, because you can pull more, you're stronger, your back is more stabilized, you look better, you look thinner, yeah, but more importantly is, when you start making corrections here, and I make 200 corrections related to power and posture, I'm making 200 corrections to how you manifest your internal being. And you're not going to get through life successful like this. This is not the posture of a winner. This is not the posture of happiness. This is not the posture of possibility. Okay, this is. And then you create a conscious awareness, just like an awareness of, man, everybody around me is nice, tall. Why would I slouch? So when they're in here, they have the tendency to be more upward, right? So that's where we're at with that posture. So it all relates to the spiritual work that we do, the coaching we do, how we explain it, to create the awareness. Once you create the awareness, they're aware of your posture. Here, they're not aware. But once they're aware, they'll catch themselves. You know, you can't breathe, too. Your lungs are collapsed. It's just one thing feeds on the other, you know. Breathe.
Okay, how many days per week should the general population do resistance training?
As far as I'm concerned, they should be able to do it every day. You know, I mean, when you get up, you know, it gets scrappy, you're doing resistance training, you're picking up boxes. Now, how often should they do bodybuilding for one body part? Well, it depends on the assault, depends on the damage. So these bodybuilders that do, you know, 15, 20 sets of 10 grueling reps for the biceps, they've created so much trauma, that bicep's not ready for another 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 days. Okay, in that situation, once every week. But for most fitness people, and especially when you're doing functional training where the body distributes the resistance over many multiple muscle systems, you can do hard work every day. That's what farmers do. They don't overtrain because it's the whole body. You know?
Yeah. I think that was your question, Scott. Is that good? Okay. What are your thoughts that go into designing programs for the overweight population?
The overweight population, mechanics, can they get around? Because if you have an obese person that can't do squats and they can't do stuff like that, then you just can't think of it as a normal person. Oh, all they need is exercising. Then you want to look at other things, low impact, maybe water, or at least standing stuff, and use low steps. Because if they can't, they're so big, they can't even do a squat to the toilet and back, that's like a 1 RM to them. You're not going to be dropping them into a 1 RM. So you got to find ways that you can lower their intensity. The nice thing is that when you stand a person and you're doing bands, cables, and all that other stuff, that's beautiful. You can go very, very low loads and make them move. The obese individual, when you get into trouble, is when you're trying to squat them, lunge them, push-ups, not so much recline pulls, because you can take whatever. And then you're just smart, okay? If I got to do a push-up with a person that weighs 500 pounds, 400 pounds, or a woman that weighs 280 pounds, then you just elevate the push-up. You elevate the recline pull. The rest is easy. Rotations, all that stuff. With those people's movement, man, movement. You know, something as simple as make an airline, or get any bike they can fit in to, you know, make it as part of the circuit, and just get calories, food, normalize hormones, all right, and squat spirit, what got them there to begin with? Okay. Okay, something got you there. 2 years of prednisone. Got it. I can understand that prednisone really messes with your metabolism. And, okay, great. Okay, so 2 years in 2 years you should be out. It's tough. If it takes you 2 years to gain 150 pounds, okay, easy, 2 years to get it rid of it. But when you've been carrying it for 4 years, that's beyond hormone. Now we've got spiritual issues to deal with, emotional issues to deal with. Why are you still there? If indeed the thing is medicine and medical, okay, then you have to deal with that. But most times, in terms of endocrine response, once you come off of prednisone, you start dropping weight and eventually get back to your normal life.
One last question here. What is your position, thoughts, or opinion regarding the overhead squat as an assessment?
The overhead squat as an assessment is ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. It's ridiculous because it is such a high-level, extreme movement that most of my athletes can't even do it. So how are we going to use something that most athletes can't even do correctly, which, by the way, doesn't measure any propensity for injury, doesn't predict performance? Most people can't do it, so why are you testing it? That's insane. That test that means nothing is a stupid test. You have an algebra class and you test them on geography, don't expect a good outcome. All right? So if I have a mom whose back hurts and she says, I have chronic bad back, and you say, okay, so tell me about your back. When does it hurt? Does it hurt now? No, it doesn't hurt now. So when does it hurt? When I clean the pool. When I have a day with a kid and the kid stays home from school very sick and I got to pick him up because they're crying and all that, my back hurts. So you're thinking, you don't have a bad back. You have a normal back that's weak, and when you put too much stress on it, it spasms on you, and now you're labeled as a bad back, right? Okay, so that woman that comes in, I just want to know something. How does she pick up her kid? How does she clean the pool? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a wood chop or a squat. I got to see how she picks up the kid, not how she does an overhead squat. That's just one of a gazillion examples. You know, if I have a triathlon, the lady who just left here was a triathlon. I overhead squat her. What does that mean? What does that mean to bike, swim, run, or being a mom? Zero. So any data that I get from there is going to be insane. It's going to be non-applicable. All right? Why don't we do an iron cross and measure shoulder stability that way? Let's do that. See who passes. So it's the same thing. You know.
Why has it become such a popular assessment then?
Because we don't question things enough. That's why. We don't question it enough. First thing that happens is it starts a gazillion years ago with the Olympic weightlifters when we said the overhead squat was the stuff. Michael Clark made it famous, made it very popular in the assessment model. Gray Cook at the same time did the assessment with a functional movement screen at the same time. Michael Clark is throwing off with the NASM and making that. So you got two giants going. Now everybody's doing overhead squats. And doing what? Nothing. They don't measure anything. Anything that's useful to me anyways. Not for a runner, not for a wrestler, not for a swimmer, not for a biker, not for what? For who's in that position? Volleyball players? No. Basketball players? No. Most of those athletes are terrible with the overhead squats, and most of them that we work with, none of them are injured, and all of them perform at high, super high levels. None of them can do overhead squats. So what? It means nothing.
Do you see in the future there being just one assessment protocol like we have that both the NSCA, NASM will all come together and use, so there isn't confusion on what assessment protocol is the best, what serves the body better for exercise prescription? Do you foresee in the future maybe people coming together, the leaders of those organizations? And why do you not see that?
Because the egos are too big. I don't foresee it because the egos are too big. The scientists and people who have a lifetime vested in the overhead squat, what are they going to do? Say that their lifetime work was useless? Which it wasn't, because you used something for an entire life doesn't mean your life is a waste, whether you did the wrong thing. You did the best thing that you could, and then towards the end you change your mind. You go, hey, you know what? For the next next generation, by the way, I spent my whole time doing this. I got decent results. I did good work, but it could be better. You would think that that's the way it would be, but it's not that way. Because people will defend a wrong position for the rest of their lives for the purpose of not saying, I'm sorry, or I was wrong, or I'm going to change. Period. That's the way it is. Unfortunately, that's the way it is.
And I think that's a big thing that hinders the way people call our profession is unregulated, because there's so many different viewpoints on what's right and what's wrong that we haven't came together and found the correct answer to how to address different, asymmetries within the body during the assessment, so that we can make a correct.
But if we all come together and choose the functional movement screen, you're always going to have people who, like me, who are going, I'm not doing the overhead squat. Why? And I'm going to say it this reason, that, and I'm not going to do the hurdle walkover, and I'm not going to do laying down hip flexion, and I'm not going to do that one, and that one. Why? Because I'm never in those positions. So I never want to test the performance in those positions, because I'm never in those positions. I want to test the performance in that position, that position, that position, that position, that I'm often in. And you go, wow, that seems logical, but then what if the status people of, the established say, no, you don't have any research to back up your stuff. I'm sorry, I have logic. I have this weird need to make sense. Sorry. So they want to go with the research. And then you know what's going to happen then. Greg Cook is going to select the research that says the functional movement screen is good, and then somebody else is going to select the research that Stu McGill's done, all 11 papers that say it doesn't mean anything, basically. So, and that little war is going to go on for the next 30 years, and we're going to be sitting here doing what? Watching the ping pong go like that? Forget that. I don't even attend the ping pong game. I'm not here training people. Vitor's going to win his next fight. That's all there is to it.